What's up, everybody? This is David Filar, your host of An Untold Narrative. This is going to be episode 56, where we usually feature a creative of some different background or aspect in the form of creativity and share their story. But for today's episode, I just wanted to take a few minutes. As I've done in the past, there are a few, 3 or 4, maybe 5 episodes where I just go on a rant for 15 to 20 minutes to share some thoughts. And this episode is going to be no different than that kind of freestyle. This past week has been super overwhelming. The feature in HighSnobiety was really amazing. And the outreach and the messages and the texts and the calls and the DMs and the comments have been wildly overwhelming in the best way possible. So with that being said, I figured I would just share some thoughts on the article itself and then kind of where we are and what we're doing. So first and foremost, huge shout out to our last episode's guest, Fabian Gosler, who now currently no longer works at HighSnobiety, but one of his final articles was the Footwear Vanguards piece that featured myself along with 8 other creatives. I think there was 9 total in this year's edition of the Footwear Vanguards. So I appreciate him shedding the light and bringing on people and really telling people's stories, right? Similar to what we do in this podcast. Obviously, the most shocking part of the article, which I had nothing to do with, Fabian just in his amazing craftsmanship of writing, came up with the title of David Filar is the nicest footwear designer you'll ever meet, which is very impactful, and I'm really thankful to say and think that a lot of people think the same thing. And that it's not just fluff, and that it's not something that I believe in or he believes in, but it's a lot of people believe that. It would be really terrible if there was mixed results on the title, but I'm really thankful. When I first read it, and I wrote this in the Instagram post, is that I sat on my computer and I just bawled my eyes out. I thought that was the craziest title that anybody could ever give somebody, and it's been a lot of work to create that type of impact. So I'm super thankful for the title itself. I think that's something I'm gonna print out and hang in a frame. I think it's super cool to me, and it means a ton. The article itself is funny. I've gotten a lot of feedback on it, and people saying that there's actually not a lot of talk about the work or the creative process or the footwear design itself, and it's more about me as an individual. And I think that feedback's really interesting. It's made me think about how well I've been able to diversify, my creative output, where it's not just honed in on one specific thing, and I haven't put myself into a box or allowed anybody else to put me in a box. And that's something I would just give as advice to people, is just to remain curious and consistently, do different things. The Fabian did a tremendous job digging deep and asking me about, my art and my podcast itself, and including those things, and then including the experiences that I've had for work, and then my journey, the journey itself, right? We talked, it featured it featured the full scope of the past 8 years of my career in footwear, inclusive of other creative outlets, and versus just like my core work process, which I think just that alone separated the article from the others. Just a different point of view, which for me, it means a lot. I really valued the way that the article was written. The other thing I really want to focus on, or just brainstorm and hopefully can give people food for thought, is that the footwear industry, similar probably to a lot of other industries, but I'm going to speak on what I've seen and what I've known through peers and colleagues and conversations that we've had, is that the past decades have been very cutthroat, similar to fashion, I'm sure, similar to like TV production and that type of industry, or like modeling or anything of that nature, where it's very cutthroat. People are trying to get ahead of each other. They're trying to advance over one another, and there's backstabbing, or there's, people throwing each other under the bus. And what I'm super, super proud of is I've taken the complete opposite approach, and have tried to uplift people and bring people along for the ride, and nominate, two of the other 9 total Footwear Vanguards were people that I've nominated. So I'm really thankful that, there's a saying that like all ships will rise, and I think that if people just wanted to just build community and build, an economy of good and helping one another, that the world and the footwear industry would be a better place to work. And so what that means, if maybe this is just a tiny ripple, or maybe this is, it's going to fade out. I don't want to be part of any fading out, but I think it's really important for people to understand how big of an impact you can make by being a good person, not trying to get ahead of anybody else the wrong way. There's definitely a right and a wrong way in advancement. And, the article talks about my different positions, even amongst my employer and my 8-year tenure. And being able to do a lot in such a little amount of time, is taken a tremendous amount of effort. And I'm glad that I've been able to bring people along the way and work with amazing people. The other thing, I got a lot of DMs specifically on Instagram about this, is, people asking, and I take calls. People, I don't know if people believe me when I say this. I take calls probably once a week or once every other week, from a student or somebody trying to do post-grad, or trying to get into the footwear industry. And they always ask for, I'll narrow it down, they ask for a shortcut. There's no two ways around this. They are always looking for a faster way to do it. And it's very simple, people. It's very, 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 very simple. You work, and then you go and you do some more work, and then you work again, and you consistently push, because this industry is not for the faint of heart. If you want to be a highly regarded designer and creative, and whatever that means to you, then you have to work harder than yourself every single day. You have to be better every single day. And that takes a tremendous amount of patience, a tremendous amount of skill, and a tremendous amount of work ethic. And people who are constantly asking or looking for a shortcut are just literally not going to make it, because you cannot. It's like going to the gym. You doing 1 push-up a day is not going to build any sort of body mass. You have to put in the repetitions. And I think this is a key part for me that I can reflect back on, is that I've spent so many hours, week after week after week, not taking time off, building my skill sets, building my craft, adding value every single year, year over year. I've been very transparent in this on other podcasts, maybe even I've said this, but I've definitely said it to friends and family. My biggest fear is becoming obsolete. And so I'm always going to stay curious, because I know myself well enough that I don't ever want to become Toys R Us. I don't want to become Blockbuster, where there's only one left, but they used to have it all. I don't want to be those things. I don't want to be those people who fade out. I don't want to do one job my entire life. I want to stay curious, and I want to keep building, and I want to learn new things. And I think that's how, for me, I can enjoy life and I can find peace. And I know that's not going to work for everybody. I know that people like a 9 to 5, and they like chilling, and they like, their time off. And I'm super happy for you if that's where you want to go. But to the kids who have reached out, who have been looking for a shortcut, there is no shortcut. It takes a lot of work, and there's no handouts in this game. Also, I wanted to talk about the moment of highs. I actually wear this necklace around my neck, and on it has a smiley face, a frown face, and just a horizontal line. And basically what they mean is the highs, the lows, and the in-betweens. That's what the necklace stands for. And this HighSnobiety article is definitely one of a pinnacle high for me personally. And I got a text from a very good friend of mine, an industry professional, who's like, take some time and really enjoy this moment and, appreciate it. And so I loved the fact that somebody told me to do that, because I really struggle with getting high on the highs or low on the lows. I think my mantra is always just to keep going and never settling. And so I obviously have bigger ambitions and plans outside of just, a very core group of 9 amazing creatives for a HighSnobiety article. And it's definitely, in 30 years of my life, it's a pinnacle exposure that's happened for me. But it's not the end. It's not that I'm going to stop now. I've been taking calls and working all weekend long, it feels like. So I think it's important for people to appreciate the moments, the good things, really take a step back and be thankful for how far we've come. But for me, this is just the beginning. And I'm very thankful that this has happened. I'm super thankful of everybody who's sent amazing comments and messages, and that I've inspired them. I mean, that's really my main mission, is just to create, to inspire. And so if I'm doing that, whether it's through an article or through a painting or through my work at Vibram, then that's fantastic, because that's my mission every single day when I wake up. So I just wanted to take a moment and talk about, not getting too high on the highs and or low on the lows, and kind of coming to peace with those feelings and emotions as they come and fluctuate. So that being said, I'm very, very thankful of everybody who listens to this podcast. I can't believe that we're 55 plus episodes in. I can't believe I've been doing this for 2 years now. I can't believe of the relationships that I've built through this podcast. And I can't believe that you're still listening. Because if you're still listening, 10, 12 minutes into this podcast, you are foundational to my success, and I appreciate your belief in me. And so I promise you that as I continue to build and advance my life, that I'm going to bring you along if you believe in me. And I appreciate that so much. So thank you, HighSnobiety. Thank you, Fabian Gosler. And thank you for tuning in. I'll see you soon. This is episode 56 of An Untold Narrative.